שומר, שומר ישראל, שומר, שומר ישראל, שמור שני ישראל, שמור שני ישראל, ביל יובד, ביל יובד, ביל יובד ישראל, האומרים שמע ישראל. שומר, שומר ישראל, שומר, שומר ישראל, שמור שני ישראל, שמור שני ישראל, ביל יובד, ביל יובד, ביל יובד ישראל, האומרים שמע ישראל. לה 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 שומר, שומר ישראל, שומר, שומר ישראל, שמור שני ישראל, שמור שני ישראל, ביל יובד, ביל יובד, ביל יובד ישראל, האומרים שמע ישראל. לה 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 שומר, שומר ישראל, שומר, שומר ישראל, שמור שני ישראל, שמור שני ישראל, ביל יובד, ביל יובד, ביל יובד ישראל, האומרים שמע ישראל. שים שלום, טוב ואהוב ונחת, חיים חן וחסד ורחמים עלינו. שים שלום, טוב ואהוב ונחת, חיים אתכם אין בחסד ורחמים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל ישראל עמך עמך ברכנו אבינו כולנו כאחד באור פניך di da 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 Shalom Torah Beracha Chaim Echem Ein B'chesed V'rachamim Aleinu Tirai da 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 ברכנו אבינו כולנו כאחד באור פניך שיחי שלום טוב ברכה Welcome everyone. It means so much to me personally that so many people came out on a night like tonight. It really touches the heart in a very strengthening way. A very strengthening way. We're gonna have to sing a lot more. So there's no doubt about it. And being together right now like this, I don't know what else we could do if we're not being called up to the reserves like many of our friends and my brother-in-law and many friends. So this is like our tzava. This is our army tonight. I was sharing with someone 2 days ago when I was 6 or 7 years old. I was living in Los Angeles, and in the summer I was part of Gan Yisrael, one of the Lubavitch camps in what's called Santa Monica. And Hashem should save us. They just shot right now to Dimona. And one night while I was in camp, a Chabad rabbi came to my house at like 6-7 p.m. And he came and brought me a chitas and a negelwasser to put next to my bed. And I think he might have even saluted me and said, you know, you're part of Tzivos Hashem now. You're part of the army of the Ribono Shel Olam. And I never, it's such a schus to have never forgotten what that meant. And this being the month where we've never had a quiet Tammuz ever, but there's never ever been anything like what we're going through right now on so many different levels. But to be part of something together with people, Sheves Achim Gam Yachad, being with my friends here, and being with, you know, in the yeshiva and with Shlomo and Judy, being together right now, just being together right now, and feeling like we're not alone, and strengthening each other, is not a lot more that we could be doing right now. So I want to sing a nigun. I actually learned this from your Sheva Brochas tape. This is a very special nigun. One of our dear friends. Oh my God! Really, 30 years ago now. So this is a nigun that has been very close to in my heart, and it talks about what we're doing right now. And it's it was one of Zalman, Reb Zalman's nigunim, who just left the world last week. Reb Zalman Schachter. By the schus of really having a really very beautifully confusing and deep relationship with, like most people, who understood that it was nothing so simple. But this nigun is the most simple thing in the world to me. This is one of his nigunim that I learned from Rav Shlomo and Judy Sheva Brachos maybe 32 years ago tonight. Hine matay umanai sheves achim gam yachad. Hine matay umanai sheves achim gam yachad. Try it again. Hine matay umanai sheves achim gam yachad. Hine matay umanai sheves achim gam yachad. Veshavti bebeis Hashem, veshavti bebeis Hashem, veshavti bebeis Hashem, ve'oirech yamim. Veshavti bebeis Hashem, veshavti bebeis Hashem, veshavti bebeis Hashem, ve'oirech yamim. Ay, la 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 la, la la la, ay, la la la. Oh, how good and oh, how nice it is for brothers and sisters to dwell as one. Oh, how good and oh, how nice it is for brothers and sisters to dwell as one. I shall dwell in God's house. You shall dwell in God's house. We shall dwell in God's house now and always. I shall dwell in God's house. You shall dwell in God's house. We shall dwell in God's house now and always. Right before Reb Shlomo sang his Nigun Melech Rahman, one of the first times in the early 60s, so he said that one time he saw a little girl crying her eyes out on the street, and a cop found her. It was late at night, and a policeman found her, and he somehow, I don't know how he was able to do it, but he was able to get her name and her phone number out of this little girl that was crying. So you could tell by what year the story was, because he said so. He took her to a payphone and put in a nickel into the payphone, and he dialed the mother's number of this girl, and he said he heard that the girl said crying to her mother, "Mommy, you have to come and get me right now." And the mother said, "Sweetest, what happened to you? Where are you?" And the daughter said, "I have no idea where I am, but you better come and get me right now." So, I kind of know where we are. I think we all kind of know where we are. Not exactly. But inside, in the heart of hearts, we know that none of us are truly certain and know exactly where we are deep inside, but we're always coming and saying, Hidaresh lanu, shuva eleinu, come to us and come to where we are. You know where I am. I don't know where I am, but you know where I am. So we've been in a pool in like this really amazing dance of tefillahs for the last, on a very intense level, for a while already. We've been to this dance of davening, feeling so certain about our tefillahs, being told that tefillahs don't work like that, davening doesn't work like that, that you just ask, and then, God answers you the way that you want to be answered. And then, what are we supposed to do now? We're not going to daven because a few weeks ago we were davening and we were told that, we were shown that it wasn't working. So, none of us know anything about anything when it comes to how, even to say the words, how tefillahs work. Tefillahs don't work. It's not about working or not working. Rav Soloveitchik, Zichar Tzadik Livracha, once said that a person prays not to see if God would answer or change his mind. Who wants to change God's mind? Don't you trust that God is running the show perfectly? So you don't want to change God's mind. But what happens to a person when they pray, when they go through the tahalich, the process of prayer, is that they themselves become different people. So we know that as high of moments as we've had in our lives, and as amazing as life has been until now, it's very clear that something real fundamental has changed in Am Yisrael. Something's completely changed. And yet we see that change is just the beginning, because it's a long, long road ahead. It's a long, long road ahead of us. But at every few moments you have to stop and say, okay, I think I'm changing, but Ribono Shel Olam, I really still don't know where I am. You have to come to that spot where only you know where I am and come and take me out of this. What's going on right now in Eretz Yisrael is just a little bit of how everything is leaning towards a huge, huge change, a huge mahapecha, a huge revolution. And we have 3 leaders actually in Am Yisrael. We have 3 mothers in Am Yisrael who are leaders right now. And someone pointed out to me yesterday that their initials spell out the word Be'er, which means a well. Bet is Bat Galim, Aleph is Iris, and Reish is Rachel. The 3 mothers who, doesn't it seem like that happened 5 years ago already? I had the schus of being there. It was just this past, I can't believe it. This past Motzei Shabbos, in the Frankel home in Nofay Alon, and everything changed. You could see that something is different. To be mitbatel to that change, to submit yourself to the bigger picture of what's going on right now, is the biggest weapon and aid to our chayalim, who Hashem should take care of each of them, while they absolutely, Hashem should give them Hashem oz la'amo yitain, to give them koyach to eliminate evil, as much evil as possible, al admat Eretz Yisrael, on our holy soil. So, I had a long conversation with a friend of mine about this new sefer that I'm been telling my chevra that I'm most excited about this one than any of them. This is the first one that I always dreamed of having the zchus of being part of, because the Torah's on Yerushalayim, on Churban and Binyan Beis Hamikdash, on the destruction and the rebuilding of Beis Hamikdash, which the truth is we've been learning here for the past 5-6 summers. Those of you who have been with us the last few years, we've been learning them intensely for many years already. And it was written in the intro that we've already cried over these Torahs for many years already. But I was most excited about it and wanted to go everywhere and run around and just tell everybody, listen, there's a new, this is it, and be so excited and push and do all these different concerts and book launches and you name it. And there was a line of them already ready to go, both here and in Chutz La'aretz. So I don't believe that now is not the time to spread this Sefer. There's never a time that you're exempt from not spreading holiness. Like Reb Nachman writes, Sheyesh ladam lev Yisraeli, when a person has a Jewish heart, an Israelite heart, he can never say that there are certain places in the world where he can't be on fire for God. You're not patur anywhere. You have no exemption anywhere from being on fire once your heart is pumping with an Israelite heart. So that's obviously, there's no Torah right now. There's no exemption saying, oh, whatever, now there's craziness going on in the world. But I had a conversation with a friend saying, I don't feel, right now, I don't have the urge to go out and try to get people in and do all these learnings and teaching. It doesn't. And my friend said to me so beautifully, he said, what are you talking about? You were most excited about this because you believe that these Torahs will wipe out Tisha B'Av from ever being a sad day. Now, right before we approach what still seems to feel like 3 weeks of mourning, Shiva mourning of such intensity right now, of Am Yisrael being a Shever Kli, now you're going to say you're not feeling it? Now you should be most excited right now to learn any word from this Sefer. So that, together with what happened with my daughter this morning, is at least like my own vitamins. This is like my vitamins. My Tiferet, my 4.5-year-old, sees me often on the computer working on stuff, and she sees there's a few Svarim. Abba has a few of the stuff that he put out. So she always says to me, Abba, let's write a book. Always, every day, let's write a book. Mm-hmm. So I always say to her, okay, what do you want it to write about? So in the past, it's always been different topics. It's very interesting. A lot of very far. One time she had a really far out topic. I forget what it has to do with today. This morning she says to me, Abba, ma kotvim hayom, what are you writing today? I said, what do you want to write today? She said, well, what day is it today? I said, Yom, today is Wednesday. She's saying, okay. Ma Hashem bara b'yom revi'i. What did God create on Wednesday? And I realized, wow, she's putting me in my place, because I don't remember each day what God created besides maybe Sunday and Friday, exactly. I don't know, right? So I said, okay, Tiferet, you know what? Let's do that, because her thing now is that we have to write 7 books. 7 books. This was her chap, that each book should be what God had in mind when He created whatever He created on each day of the week. Chaim. That's like the highest thing I've ever heard. I said, okay, let's open up the Chumash. And we're sitting there. She's like, what? You could just find out in a sefer what God? I was like, yeah, Tiferet. And I realized, oh my God, this is what it means. Like, the Shinantam Levanecha. Like to teach your children are going to teach you how to learn. Because they're going to force you back to the psh. What is she forcing me to? Like Tikkunei Zohar on the inner depths of the donkey of Bilam? No. What did God create on Wednesday? So we're sitting this morning, opening the Chumash, and we're back. Shnei HaMeorot HaGdolim. God created the 2. How would you say Meorot? Luminaries. And we're sitting there, and I'm like, oh my God. Just getting down to basics, and I've thought, like, what do I want to learn tonight? What do I want to cry with people over? Like, what should we do? So I opened up the Sefer, the Soul of Yerushalayim, Soul of Jerusalem, Yerushalayim, and this is the schus of my daughter. we went right into, well, you'll see. Let's just start from scratch again, because obviously we still haven't figured it out. So let's just start from scratch again. This teaching about what Bereshis bara Elokim means, what does it mean when God created the world, which is what tonight's learning is from. If you have the Sefer, so, and it's a big schus to learn it inside. Hint, hint, for those of you who don't have it yet. Although there are photocopies here. One second. Yeah, there's tons here. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna pass the pages out, and those of you who have the Sefer, you'll look at it inside while I look for it inside. Yeah, right? You know it by heart already? Yeah, this is the one. This is the one. Oh, here it is. On page 22. Here, there's another copy. On page 22. I don't know how much we're going to get of it, but as much as we can get. Are there still more copies going around? Not so much? Okay. Here, we'll pass these down. Okay. All right, friends. Even if you don't have it, I'll try speaking as loud as possible. And I invite everyone to, in a certain way, I mean, unless Chas v'Shalom you hear a siren, to ignore everything that's happening outside, outside these holy walls. The first line of the Torah says, Bereshis bara Elokim es hashamayim ve'es ha'aretz. In the beginning, God created heaven and earth. And the verse continues, Ve'ha'aretz haisa sohu vavohu, and the land was in chaos. Ve'ruach Elokim merachefes al pnei hamayim, and the Spirit of God was upon the waters. Okay, we've learned this a few times in our life, no? I mean, not here necessarily, but bichlal. We've read the first few psukim of the Torah thousands of times. Now, it's got to be much stronger. The Midrash asks, what was the Spirit of God, which was upon the waters? The Spirit of God refers to Rucho Shel Mashiach. That was the Spirit of Mashiach, which was hovering upon the waters. Everyone always wants to know, when was this whole concept of Mashiach, when did it originate in the Torah? Where's the headquarters of it? It's the third pasuk in the Torah. The Ruach Elokim, what does it mean, Ruach Elokim? The Spirit of God was hovering upon the waters. It says there was chaos, then the Ruach, but already there, the Torah is telling us, but the Spirit of Mashiach is already there. Right after the Torah speaks about chaos, Mashiach's already there. Then it says, Vayomer Elokim yehi or, God said, let there be light, Vayhi or, and there was light. That means that someday when Mashiach comes, it'll be the time for God to say, let there be light. This was one of Reb Shlomo's most simple understandings of how it's going to be. It's going to be that we're going to be reaching an age, a time, where it'll be time for God to say once again two words, Yehi or. And this is our whole thing, our whole tzipiyah, our whole, everything we long for and that are waiting for it to happen, it's to hear those two words again, Yehi or. There were Chassidim that when they would learn Pashas Bereshis, and the Baal Korah would get to the words Vayomer Elokim Yehi or, they would start crying from such longing for what will take place one day. Not what was once. What does that mean to what was once? Mazel tov. It's more what's, can you hear in the Torah also what's going to be, or just a history book of what was? We all know the Torah is the last thing in the world, is it's a history book. It's a history, present, future book. It's a past, present, future book. It's Haya Hoi V'Viyeh. So this Chassidim would hear the Baal Korah say, Vayomer Elokim Yehi Or. Oh man, how we need to hear those two words again, Yehi Or. And when we hear those two words again, Yehi Or, no Facebook status will be able to confuse you about anything, about who's right or wrong. Who knows what they're talking about, who doesn't know what they're talking about, who really knows the Word of God, who doesn't know the Word of God. I've never ever seen so many people so convinced and convicted with their feelings than ever before. It's unbelievable. Now listen to this. V'ha'aretz, and the land, right? V'ha'aretz hayta tohu vavo, and the land. This is the Holy Land. What other land could the Torah be talking about? V'ha'aretz hayta tohu vavo, the land was mamish in chaos. This is the Churban Beis HaMikdash. V'ruach Elokim merachefes al pnei hamayim, and the Spirit of God was upon the waters. The Midrash asks, what were these waters? And it answers, these were all the tears that were shed over the destruction. Every few years in Am Yisrael, there is some kind of a Churban that takes place. And it's a Churban of our time which brings out a lot of tears and a lot of emotions. You know, this period of time where these our three boys, were not found. So it brought me back to a very traumatic, life-changing experience in my life with Nachshon Waxman, Hashem Yikom Damo, with the kidnapped soldier who was 20 years? I think it's 20 years ago. He was kidnapped and killed right before Reb Shlomo passed away, or I think the week after, right around then and there. My father took my brother and I to go pay a shiva call by the Waxman family in Ramot. It's these things that it had the whole Am in a state of Churban. And what's so weird is that when we're in the state, when the world is in a state of chaos and of total destruction, what's the last thing that you feel is happening? Salvation. When the world is in such distress and pain over whatever they cry over, what comes out of it is not V'ruach Elokim merachefes al pnei hamayim. It's just deeper Churban. But we know that while we are always suffering so much, why is it that we actually anticipate Mashiach while we're in such pain? You'd think the other way. No, we're getting closer. Look, everyone, there's more shuls and more schools and more simchas, and I don't know, usually I don't think about Mashiach as much when things are so beautiful. We usually think of Mashiach when there's such Churban. We're such a backward, such a weird people. What do you mean? 3 boys are kidnapped and their mothers are crying in Geneva and God knows where. And you feel like right now Mashiach is about to come? Millions of people are running to bomb shelters and you think Mashiach is going to come? Why is that? Why do we think that? Because that's part of our DNA. And it's nothing we chose. It's the first few psukim of the Torah. V'ha'aretz hayta tohu vavo, v'choshech al pnei tehom. That there was such chaos and destruction amongst the whole world and in the Aretz, in the Holy Land. But what? V'ruach Elokim merachefet al pnei hamayim. And the Spirit of Mashiach is right there when chaos is mentioned. So this is beautiful. Again, the Midrash asks, what were these waters? Al pnei hamayim. Ruach Elokim, we understood. That's the Spirit of Mashiach. Hovering upon the waters. What waters? The Midrash says, these were all the tears that were shed over the destruction. You want to know where Mashiach is? Have you cried over what's going on or not? If you haven't cried over what's going on, Ruach Elokim is not merachefing over you. Now look what he says here. In Hebrew, there's no singular term for water. Mayim is always Lashon Rabim. It's always plural. So since Mayim can mean over here the tears, it's always two tears taking place at once. Again, Mayim, there's no singular for it. There's no Mai. There's no such thing as Mai or Maya. I mean, it's a nice name, but it doesn't mean one drop of water. Water is always plural. Now, what is the water that we're referring to based on the Midrash? Ma'ot, tears. So he says a beautiful, heartbreaking thing over here. In other words, when I'm crying, God is crying. There's never been one tear in the world. With every tear that someone sheds, God is crying also. 2 tears at least, every time. No one, now this statement is just, this is chizuk. No one, he says, no one has ever cried alone. Usually you cry when you feel so broken and so lonely. But no one has ever cried alone, because water in Hebrew, mayim, dema'ot, is plural. I want you to know, I'm not going to hide this, but, and it's not time, please don't start looking at your phones and everything, but I have this alert on the phone like many of you have, and since we started learning, there's been tons of more rockets being shot out to Ashkelon and Sderot and Dimona. Every few minutes I'm getting alerts. I feel so strongly that this is what we could do right now more than anything. We know, Reb Shlomo says, that the first 2 letters of the Hebrew alphabet are Aleph and Beis. And the strangest thing is, Bereshis bara. The phrase describing the creation of the world begins with Beis. And the 10 Commandments, the Torah, begins with Aleph. Right? Bet is Bereshit bara Elokim. What's the Aleph of the Aseret HaDibrot? Anochi. Anochi. What caused the destruction of the world? The Aleph and the Beis, the physical world and the Torah, never got together. That's the tikkun. It's the same thing for us in our personal lives. This next paragraph will explain what he just said. The conflict inside every human being is a conflict between the Aleph and the Bet. Our Bet, our physical world, right, the world, Bereshis bara Elokim, has not been completely integrated into our Aleph, which is Anochi, which is the Torah. You ever realize how people always struggle, like, wait a second, I want to still be connected to the world. If I fly too much on Torah, then I'll be disconnected from people and from the world. And Reb Shlomo says, on the contrary. On the contrary. Remember, one of our favorite lines is, Reb Shlomo said, physically, the higher you fly, the further you are from every person. When you're on a plane and you're flying high, the more you ascend, the further you are from every living creature. But spiritually, it's the opposite. Spiritually, the higher you fly, the closer you are to every human being in the world. So Shlomo says this problem of integration, of realizing that there is no difference, it's all one. God is the one who created the world, and God is the one who gave us the Torah, and all a Yidla has to do in this world is to show not how they complement each other. Oh, my beautiful understanding of Rambam and Kuzari really complements the way that I could talk in the academia. It doesn't, these things, that's shtuyot. It's all one. The Bet and the Aleph are one. And the Churban happens when? In the Chodesh of Av. When there's another attempt for the Aleph and the Bet to come together. And one of the deepest parshias in the Torah happens to be Parshas Bo. When Hashem tells Moshe Rabbeinu, Bo el Paro. What does that mean? Come with me to Paro. Paro, to that person in our life, whether it's the chatterbox or whatever it is, that always confuses us and enslaves us. If you take the bet and the aleph together, if you take Bereshis bara Elokim and Anochi Hashem Elokecha, if you take the world and you take the Torah, and you come together with them towards Paro, you're out of Egypt. But as long as you can't figure out how to integrate these two worlds of the world and the Torah, forget it. There are a lot of people in the world that say, leave me alone from the world. I'm v'talmud Torah keneged gulam. It's beautiful, but you're just parading around a really nice aleph. And then there's a lot of chevra that are so fed up with people that have kind of, in a weird way, made avodah zarah just out of aleph, right? Of the concept of there's no world. And they're like, what are you talking about? I'm a universalist. This Torah, it's a nice thing, but it didn't work. I'm just a bet, Bereshit bara Elokim. Neither works alone. Neither works alone. He says it better than I could ever try. Or that some of our aleph, our Torah, didn't get deep enough into our kishkas, into our physical being. The aleph and the base just never got together, which results in destruction. We try our best, we hang on a little bit, bouncing back and forth between the aleph and the base, clinging to both. But without them being connected, we just aren't whole. We're not completely natural and not completely unnatural. We're a little bit good and a little bit evil, a little bit in the world. A little bit following our nature, a little bit connected to Yiddishkeit. Everything, just a little bit. This is chaos. Do you know what tohu vavohu means? Chaos means that everything is there, but not in the right place. And now he's going to start to hopefully build ourselves up now. If Shlomo's not saying you're either Torah or you're humanitarian. No. Most of us are a combination of both, obviously. Look at our lives. Look, most of us maybe didn't come from the world of Torah, but we took our world and we're trying to bring Torah into it, but there's still tension. It doesn't go in harmony. It's not in peace. How do I make peace with what seems to me to be the way of the world, but the Torah says to me something? So Reb Shlomo says that means that you're in a chaotic state of mind. What does a chaotic state of mind means? It doesn't mean you're lacking everything. It means you have a bunch of things going on inside of you, but there's no order. And I just saw the most beautiful piece of Torah video from, I think, the late 80s or early 90s by another precious neshama. I had the privilege of having a kesher with Reb Meir Abasera Zecher Tzaddik V'Kodesh Livracha, that many of you knew. And Reb Meir spoke about in this thing about how what the Rebbe did was that he made an order. He didn't say to you, you can't be this, you can't be that. He put things in order. He said, look at all your talents. He mamish brought the aleph and the bet together, and that's why so many people saw the Rebbe as a father figure, because that's what an av, an aleph bet does. Puts things in order for you. Imagine that I come into your house and it's mamish chaos. It doesn't mean there's no kitchen, no bathroom. Chaos means that the couch is on top of the stove. Right? What's going on here? I mean, I know you need a couch and you need a stove, but not in the same place. If you have a bed and table, it's beautiful. I'm glad you have a table and you have a bed. But will you please put it all in order? Otherwise, it seems like total destruction. Tohu vavohu. What are we lacking here in Eretz Yisrael? What don't we have? What don't we have physically? This land has everything. Everything. The biggest miracle is that everything is here. Whenever you travel a few miles somewhere, it's another beautiful scenic view of something else. Suddenly you're in desert, then you're in beach, then you're in water, then you're in the mountains, then you're in green, then you're in brown. This doesn't exist anywhere. A few weeks ago I was in Cape Town, and some of the people there, the locals, were so, not the Yidden, but the other chevra there who have such, I would too if all I had to do was just, sing African root music all day long. Like, they have such freilich simcha. Like, it's unbelievable. I was at the front desk checking in, and I couldn't believe it. I'm looking at the woman's name. It's on her thing. And I thought like maybe this is like the name of the staff or the name of the hotel. And she's so beautiful. She was so beautiful, this black woman with such a smile, a graceful smile. And I look at her, I said, I gotta take a picture. Is that really your name? She said. And her name was Patience. And and many different stories like that of people with these kind of puts our like chevra names to shame. I thought our chevra had cool names. These people have such shalom. So anyway, the locals there are talking about look how beautiful it is here. Look how precious. Look at this. Look at God's creation. I'm like, yeah, this is gorgeous. They're like, isn't this the most gorgeous thing in the world? I'm like, I'll tell you the truth. No, because this is just one thing. Where I live, you have everything. Meaning people that don't have to put things in order are much less chaotic in their lives. Do you hear that line? It's very important to remember. You wonder, how do these people have such calmness of the heart, peaceful? You know, if I, like my chevra in Sydney and Melbourne, if all I had to do was walk around saying no worries mate all day long, it wouldn't be such a big chokhmah to be so peaceful. But because I can't just say no worries, I have to say full of worries mate, no worries mate. That's what I have to keep on saying all day long living here. Full of worries, no worries, and making a chaotic reality into part of the Seder, into an order. So again, he says, chaos, everything is there, but not in the right place. It never came together. Now he says something so mind-blowingly, heartbreakingly deep. You see what it is? It's possible for a couple to hang on to each other for 2,000 years, but they never really got together. But still, it's also not bad enough to divorce each other. It's not living, but it's also not dying. Then something happens and they just can't go on the way they're going on, the way they're going now. So they separate. You know what happens then? Suddenly, after they separate, they realize that they really belonged to each other. But you see, their staying together was not the cure. Their cure was the separation. Now, he's not talking, I want to say something really, really an important disclaimer. This is not marriage advice, what he's saying right now. And it's very important, and this is the one area where, call it what you want, liberty, I don't know what it is, I feel like it's an achrayus to make it clear. When he says Torah is like this, he is not saying take a gut check of your marriage, and if you really want to know if it's real, leave each other and test me if I was right. What he's talking about here is that we didn't know what we had with Churban Beis HaMikdash until there was a Churban Beis HaMikdash. Is that we don't know what Am Yisrael is until there's thousands and thousands of people davening together over 3 kidnapped boys. That's what he's saying. It's like we have this thing, Yiddishkeit. I was in a shul recently, and everyone's so makpid on coming to shul. But you could hear a pin drop in there because it was so quiet, because no one said anything out loud or whatever, but they davened, and they came to shul on time, which is beautiful. But how much do you cry for one Avas Eilam Haftanu, Hashem Elokeinu? I was thinking about, not knowing when these boys, if they were alive, not alive. And the whole thing happened just a few minutes from where I live. Now the whole time when it was so hot, these last few weeks physically was so hot, and I was thinking to myself, these boys are still alive. What wouldn't they have given right now for like one shahakol, for one bracha over some cold water? What wouldn't they give? Why we only think of terms like that when something's taken away? It's because while we have things, they're in a chaotic state of mind. Most things that we have already are not in order. We have them, but they're not in order. So many people long to get married. Why is that not everyone is happily married? If all they thought was, and I just got to find my soulmate. It's because the bed is on top of the oven in their relationship. But it doesn't bother them too much until they start moving things around. In other words, like, Chevra, let's be clear. What don't we have? Besides the Beis HaMikdash, which we're going, this is the whole point of this teaching and every teaching in this Holy Sefer. What don't we have? Order. We have everything, but we don't have the Aleph and the Bet together, which forms Tohu. However, what's our consolation is that when the Torah first spoke about a chaotic state of mind, the next few words were Veruach Elokim merachefet al pnei hamayim. That the spirit of Mashiach was hovering over what? Tears that cry over longing to have order in our life. The chaos was created in our lives to be cried over. We always think, well, God gave me everything and I messed it up, I have chaos. No, God also gave you chaos. God gives you everything. What's the chaos there for? Are you going to cry with me, God is saying. Because that's where Ruach Elokim, that's where the spirit of Mashiach hangs out. That's where it's dwindling over and over again. We can go a few more minutes, Chevra? It's okay? Convincing. The way things are now is no good. Too much chaos. Half here and half there. Inside we know that we cannot live with only the Aleph or the Beis. Even if we have both, we need them together. We need the Torah and we need the world. So the world and we in our own lives start getting the Aleph and the Beis back together again. Now Reb Shlomo says, and this, Chevra, I know that every year we say this, and it's important to say this again, but the 3 weeks are not just a summer damper. The 3 weeks are an opportunity to have the Ruach Elokim, the spirit of Mashiach in our lives. Because what are you crying over? The Beis HaMikdash. What does that mean to cry over the Beis HaMikdash? So here, look what our Rebbe says. Do you know where this happened? Where did everything find its right place? The Holy Temple. We went into the temple with everything we had, all our shame, fears, and guilt, and we came out singing. How? What happened? The Holy Temple, Reb Shlomo says, put everything in its right place. In the Beis HaMikdash, in the Holy Temple, God brought the Aleph and the Beis together again. The Beis HaMikdash is where everything came together. The complete integration between the Torah and the world. Now this is very important to just try to understand deeper. You know, when I think of Beis HaMikdash, or when I thought of Beis HaMikdash until now, I always thought, oh, that's that like Torah place, like where the Aleph is, like it's just holiness, and you know, if you're not a frum Talmid Chacham, you're not going to be able to connect to what's going on there. And here Shlomo says, what are you talking about? The Beis HaMikdash is the place where the Beis and the Aleph were one, where there was an Av, which is so crazy that this is the month, next month is the month of Av, where they're back together again, the Aleph and the Bet. But for our sake and our purpose, what does it mean? So because we have Chassan and Kala in the room, we still have a king and queen. You guys should be king and queens forever. I'm not letting go of you guys at all. And it's your energy that inspires so many of us. So I want to say the following. Under the chuppah at Sheva Brachas, there's a really important bracha. And it says, V'hitkin lo mimeno binyan ade'ad. Under the chuppah, we bless a chassan and kala that there should be, that God is basically creating a possibility for you guys to have a binyan ade'ad, which means an everlasting building. That's very scary because most marriages are the most boring, everlasting buildings. Like Reb Shlomo said, you know, it's not so great, but it's not enough to tear people apart. So what is it? It's like a binyan adayad. It's a building that, I grew up in a home where separation or divorce was unheard of, so I just keep on being married. But here we see what it is. A binyan adayad is not something that's not broken enough in order to crumble. A binyan adayad means not that the building lasts forever, but that the building lasts forever. Do you understand? She'll explain it to me because I'm still trying to figure that out. The Beis Hamikdash stopped being a Beis Hamikdash. Do you know why? Because the building of the Beis Hamikdash and the building of who I am and the integration of the Aleph and the Bet in my life stopped. So it was just a building. God says, do you really think that it matters if there's still a building here? Remember how the Navi says, I'm done with your lip service. I'm done with your lip service. Everything that happens to us in our life, every shever, every chaos in Am Yisrael, and specifically Eretz Yisrael, is in a state of tohu vavohu. It's chaos. Don't start telling me how beautiful things are. They're always beautiful. But if that's not going to make you cry, then Ruach Elokim is not merachef on your mind. And all these Torahs in this Sefer, the whole thing is trying to understand what a binyan adayad is. So first of all, you're still in your month of king and queenship. A binyan adayad in your life, first of all, when you inspire others to want to continue building in their own lives, that's already a good siman. It's already a good siman. Should be zeicha for a real binyan adayad. And all of us this Av should cry enough tears so that we hear HaKadosh Baruch Hu say those two words that God himself has waited to say also, but he waited till there was enough tears. You know, remember that story? The Rishner was once in jail in Purim. The Rishner, the Heilige Rebbe Yisrael Rishner, is in jail in Purim, and I heard the story this way where he says, you know, God, I have to give Shalach Manas today. But I have nothing to give anybody, so may the tears that I'm crying right now be my Shalach Manas to you. It was an old Hasidic melody where the Hasidic melody went like this: God, I don't know how many more tears you need in order to rebuild the Beis Hamikdash, but may it be these tears that I'm crying out right now while I'm talking to you. So may the tears that are coming out now, and this isn't an encouragement for us to be depressed. It's not about depression, or it's not even about sadness. It's about being alive. If you're not crying now, you're not alive. You're not alive. You're not living. And I made a little bit of a weird promise to Naftali Frankel's mother. I said to her that every time now that I'm going to say Sheibana Beis Hamikdash, or that Ani Mami Mimuna Shlema V'yas Mashiach, I'm taking her eyes with me whenever I say those words. So I want to spread that with all of us right now. Ribbono Shel Olam, we don't know how many more tears you need, but it must be those tears of these three mothers, the Be'er, in order for you to say once again, Yehi Ar. Because when Yehi Ar, it's the end of Tov Vavo. It's not enough that I know that Mashiach is hovering over me. It's not enough. Because I still have to schlep my daughters in the middle of a siren while they're sleeping into a room, which is not their bedroom. Yehi Or is what we're looking for. Not just V'ruach Elokim merachef. You know, in English, in Hebrew, when you wanted to tell somebody that he was like an astronaut, like a guy that's like just like a tembel, because like he's not really anywhere, you say, "Wana, takasde rachfan." Rachfan means like from the word merachef, that it's like hovering over. You're I don't even know how to say the word, huh? You're a floater. Yeah, you're a rachfan. But floating is a really cool place to be in. If you look at Parashat Bereshis, a floater. But I don't want to just float, because floating is still in between. That's still merachef. So the Ruach Elokim has been merachefing from the moment of creation. It's not even that it's clear. Who are we to say what's clear, what's not clear? Our hearts need two words, Yehi Ar. End of chaos, Aleph and Bet back together again. Shebana Beis HaMikdash v'Mehera b'Yameinu. Amen. Amen. Let's sing one more, Chavra. Ay, da 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 da. Good Shabbos. Thank you everyone for coming. And there's a bunch of Sfarim here for sale, whoever wants.
Sfarim, what's the money? That's true.
It's amazing. It's amazing. You have to write that down so you forget it. Yeah, sure. Who's it for? What's your Hebrew name? Michael? Michael Shalem. I need a pen, brother.
Sorry? I don't believe they are. Here? I don't believe so.
Have you lived up to the deal?
Yeah. Yeah, so they can function
I asked how much is for
It's time to bring them all together.
Let's yeah. Can you get a book from there? Huh? 80. 80. In the store it's much more, I think, but I'm selling it for 80.
Mayonnaise, it's 90.
They're gonna bring right now. Whose is this? Try it?
Many years.
No, it's the easiest time.
Oh, actually, you're right. That's the last time I cried. Was looking at wedding videos with my parents and got a little stressful. I think that's the last time. Yeah.